We are going. And hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. My name is Kristie Mathews, and I have the distinct pleasure of interviewing my friend and colleague, Miss Margaret Edwards, who just had some great information. She just rank advanced, and I'm so proud of her. So congratulations to you, Margaret. Watching your progress and how your business has been evolving has just been phenomenal. So congratulations to you, and thank you for being with me today and sharing some more great information. And shall we go ahead and get started?
Absolutely, and thank you, Kristie.
Excellent.
I owe it all to you.
No, you did all the work. So, you know, we always have these wonderful discussions offline, and I just think it's so important that, you know, some of the things that we talk about that we share with others, you know, because some people just, you know, it's right in front of us and we're not really paying attention to some of these things. And, you know, one of the things you and I talk quite a bit about is that it costs a lot of money to go to work. And, you know, we're getting at that point right now to where, you know, you notice, and I have noticed definitely how, you know, food inflation, for one thing, it's not counted in the inflationary numbers that we get from the government. Gas, for instance, you know, we've seen the fluctuation in gas. You know, when gas prices go down, we get a little pay raise, so to speak, and a little bit easier on our budget. But for those of us who may be receiving where we're trading our time for an hourly wage, maybe at the lower end of the spectrum, it becomes very difficult to really make a significant, or I'm going to say a comfortable living, because it costs us money to go to work. And it's these other tangible things that are out there that we really have no control over, you know, like our food costs. You know, everything is tied up into that. You know, how much does it cost to deliver that food to the supermarket? All of those things are tied up into that price that we're paying for the things that ends up in the checkout stand. So, you know, I'm sure you have some thoughts that, you know, what are your thoughts about the cost of going to work?
Well, and again, really, truly, I do owe a lot of my rank advancement and success to Kristie. And the reason why is because she did introduce me to a social media marketing tool that has really helped me build my business, build my confidence, and everything else. So, Kristie, give yourself some kudos, because I do appreciate you very much for introducing me to this. But anyway, again, on the costs of going to work, people don't realize, like you said, they're trading their time for money,
right,
on an hourly wage. And in that money, what they don't always look at is transportation. How are you going to get there? Are you using public transportation? It's still going to cost you money.
Right.
Are you going to get a vehicle? Are you going to get a little beater one that you can just get to and from wherever? Or you're going to buying another vehicle, you know, maybe car payments, etc. Pardon me. And then the cost of insuring that vehicle, the maintenance of it, buying new tires, who knows?
Yes.
Making sure it's got oil in it so it keeps going, doesn't seize up. And even getting up in the morning, you have to realize that you're giving of your time to get up that little extra time to get your shower. Some people still take a brown bag lunch.
Right.
Grab a bite to eat before they go. So you have to figure in those food costs.
Sure.
And if not, then, you know, you're going to buy lunch. Where are you going to buy it? Are you going to buy your coffee en route at the Starbucks? It all costs money. And let's think about clothing, shoes. Maybe you even need to get a haircut or get some blue hair or something. Self-maintenance, put it that way even. You know, you need to realize that these things cost money.
Right.
And if you're getting a hourly wage, how much of that hourly wage is actually getting put into that? Not only that, you've got your, I mentioned utilities, but you've got your rent or your mortgage. And yeah, the utilities, they don't realize that this all costs money.
Yes, it does.
Right. So what people don't realize, I want to kind of segue into a little something we haven't quite touched upon, is that if you have a home business, a lot of these expenses can be a write-off.
Right. They're true.
Yes. And you and I know a lot about those. We're not tax professionals in any way, shape, or form, but we do advise our team on how to preserve the most of their money that they earn.
Yes.
In their pocket, not Uncle Sam's.
And we want, and it's good that you brought that up, because very good point, because some people get into the home-based business area and we want them to spend and make investments on themselves, but we don't want them to spend willy-nilly and think, oh, because they're spending money on their business that they get to write these things off. A write-off is not a tax credit. There is a big difference. A write-off just allows you a very small percentage off of your tax in and of itself. But definitely know that whatever, see, when you go to work, you don't get to write off the investment in your clothes, the investment that you're making in your car, the investment in your hair, or anything like that. You know, maybe if you are in the skilled professions, such as maybe an auto mechanic, a welder, maybe a doctor who has to go ahead and buy their own, you know, whatever tools that are needed for whatever profession that is not reimbursed by whatever organization you're associated with, there is some sort of tax relief that you're going to get. But it's not a tax credit.
No.
And we get that same benefit in the home-based business industry as well. But it's we need to be mindful about what we're doing and be judicious about our expenses. And so there is an advantage of investing in ourselves and working at home, or in addition to our job, and finding a way, you know, maybe to be able to leave that job and eventually come home full time and have that little that relief available to us.
Right. Yes.
What other things can we do tax-wise at home, Margaret? I know that you have some ideas about that.
Well, people do confuse costs with what I would call an investment in their personal development,
Right.
the skills that they need to learn, some of the things that they want to do. For instance, here's a cost that's interesting that I utilize quite often, and there's two in particular, is that when I'm going to meet somebody, I have it pre-planned. I have it documented that it's pre-planned and what the meeting's going to be about, even if it's just grabbing coffee, if we're going to have a meal. That meeting is going to be a business meeting, and if I'm out with somebody, half of that business meal expense is a tax write-off, because I'm informing somebody about a business opportunity, or we're conversing about how some of the skills we're learning and sharing information. A really good one, and I like to utilize every now and then, maybe not as often as I used to, but if you end up entertaining at home and you have it pre-planned that you're going to be sharing some information about what you're doing, you can actually write off your groceries,
Yes.
a portion of your utilities, a portion of your rent, insurance, etc. And that's very important, especially to renters, because renters don't have any credit or write-offs when a homeowner does, because the homeowners have property taxes that they can write off. A renter doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, you just have a little like you and I are lucky we have a room that we call our office. Not everybody has that luxury, but you can write off that room or that space that you have, your desk, your computer, your phone, whatever, that you're utilizing to do your business. One of the things that I've learned years ago is that you don't have to do your home business like for 4 or 5 hours a day.
Right.
If you're working, you're commuting, you're not going to have that kind of time. You're going to be beat. However, if you do a minimum of at least, I believe it is 5 hours a week, 3 to 5 hours a week, and it's consistent,
yes,
it can be proven that you are trying to build a business. And there's a difference between a hobby rule and a business rule.
Right.
So you have to learn those sort of things. But
and the other thing, it's this can go on, but there are two sides of the tax equation. Why businesses enjoy tax benefits is that they're the engine of the economy. Business creates jobs for people, and so it's advantageous to the government to provide tax benefits to businesses so that they do create jobs and you keep that engine going. And so the tax structure for a business is called, what happens is that those dollars that a business makes are actually taxed afterward. Whereas you and I as individuals, our income is taxed before we get it. When we receive it, it's called after-tax income. When a business receives it, it's called pre-tax income. And so having a home-based business allows us to kind of right that ship a little bit, maybe balance it out a little. And I know that this wasn't, designed to be a tax discussion, but it's a great topic because it is one that a lot of people just don't think about and really don't understand the dynamics of what's involved and what a very powerful tool it is. Because I got to tell you, we spend a lot of money in these $5 coffee drinks that maybe if we just gave up, 4 or 5 of them a month and invest that into ourselves, that can be a very low entry cost into a home-based business. That can be, the engine that changes the direction of the rest of your life. It's just amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And once people see that, once they kind of can envision that, it's where the aha moment comes in.
Yeah.
But I never thought of it that way. Oh, wow, I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that you've got to own the brick and mortar business and the franchise and all that sort of stuff, which costs money. You can get into a home business for very little expense, investment, and it's a tax write-off.
Yeah. Now, it's interesting, but how do you learn all of this stuff, And I think one of the best ways of learning this kind of stuff is interacting with other people, getting involved in other networking groups, and maybe even going to events. I mean, what's your thought on that, Margaret?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's where people need to invest in themselves. And I don't mean just purchasing a product or a service or whatever. I'm talking about going to events, going to seminars, webinars, not only to just get to learn what's being presented at those events, but also, let me see my notes here, but to also meet and network with people who are looking to improve their lives, their lifestyle, people who think positive, people who have a no limits kind of thinking, like, I can do this, I can do this.
Exactly.
Just show me the way, and I can do this. These people are growing.
Yeah.
They're stretching. They're improving themselves. And that's why going to events, you're networking with other like-minded people that can, maybe they'll have a tip or a technique that can really just send off that light bulb going, I could do that.
Yes.
You know, it's not as hard as it sounds. It's actually very simple. It's just like you go to college, you know, you have your mentors, you have your, who are your professors, or it's just asking the right person the right questions. And if that person isn't the right person, ask the same question to somebody else, and maybe you'll relate to them even better. But you form a bond, you form a network, a trust,
Right.
amongst these people. And that's why going to events is so very important, because you're improving yourself, you're improving your confidence, you're reaching out to perfect strangers in some cases. And that can be a little, you know, people are afraid to talk, but then that builds your confidence. And you have to have a little bit of confidence to be able to put that next foot forward over the next one, the next one, the next one, just to, you know, it's that first step that's a real doozy. But once that fear is overcome, that's when your whole world, your whole universe will open up. Yeah. So yes, just going to those events and networking groups like you mentioned, meeting people, e-commerce, social media marketing, that's a great way to meet people. And yeah, you don't have to leave your home, but sometimes you got to go out and have a cup of coffee and say, you know, face-to-face time.
You know, it's interesting that you said you don't have to leave your home. And that's what's beautiful now, because, you know, us being boomers as we are, back in the day, you had to leave your home, or you had to have people come to your home to be able to network and get out of your social sphere. You know, and it just, as you were talking, it made me think of, now I know I don't have this quote right, but it was something that Zig Ziglar had said, and Les Brown said something similar. And it goes something like this, and we've all heard some similar variations of this, that we're a culmination of the 5 closest people to us. I think Jim Rohn said that. And Les Brown's mother had said this to him, that, you know, that your 9 closest friends are all broke. You don't need to be the 10th friend. So go out and make some new friends, you know, and it's like that. And what's really cool about social media is that, you know, you can literally be in your jammies, so to speak, and still build a social network. You know, we have a wonderful one with Prosperity for All group that we just kind of linked up some people that had some things in common. And it's not a marketing group or anything. It's just a group of people that we share ideas among each other and mentor each other and prop each other up when one is down, you know, and that's just the really cool thing about being on social media. And you can build these things up all over the place within the marketing organization that you and I share a membership in, that we can go ahead and put out a question, and within minutes we'll have an answer. I mean, it's all about community and sharing. It is so different than it used to be, you know, maybe 15 years ago. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, Kristie, because I didn't realize, at least, how important it is to find the right mentors.
Yes.
Hire the right coaches.
Right.
And you know, get the mentoring. Like I say, when you're in college, you're leaning on your professors and whatever the network is. I spent 1 quarter in college, and I said, well, I'm repeating the 12th grade again, so why am I here? I don't want to do this. I don't repeat. I'm moving on. So I didn't stay there for very long. But yeah, when you find the right mentors and you have the right coaches in your corner, and they're there to lead you on, to cheer you on, and then kick you in the butt when you need a good one, and say, hey, don't go down that path, go down here, or
right.
No, I'm here to help you. But you know, they'll guide you in the right direction. Absolutely.
You bet.
Absolutely.
You know, another thing we were talking about not too long ago, and I think most people who are listening in here know of Mike Rowe, and he's the dirty jobs guy, and he's the one that would be, you know, in these big commercial chicken coops, underneath the chickens, cleaning out chicken poop, and and he would be in the deep bowels of sewer systems, and he'd be in gosh, I saw him in Coast Guard, down in the barges, I believe, and he'd have to clean off the barnacles and things, like just really nasty stuff.
Right.
And he was talking about how there are 3 million jobs out there waiting and have been available for a number of years now that are unfilled because we don't have enough of skilled workers that are in various particular fields. And there's some characteristics that they all share, such as transferability and movability. And I know that you had some thoughts on that. Why don't you go ahead and share them, if you don't mind?
Yeah, well, I'd like to bring up something that we talked about a little bit ago, too, because there's a lot of college graduates who have a degree in something that is never going to pay them any money. Like a liberal arts degree.
Yes, indeed.
They might be beautiful writers, but and they could probably benefit quite well if they knew how to utilize that on social media marketing in the e-commerce world, but they don't.
Right.
It's not taught in schools. You have to reach out beyond the scholastic realm to look for this sort of thing. A lot of the jobs.
Let me interrupt you just for a moment. But they are using this medium. They are using it in such a social type of way. It's right in front of them, but they don't know how to monetize it.
Exactly.
That.
Yes.
They have the skills far more advanced. They were born with, where is my phone? But you know what I mean? They were born with the phone in their hand. And, you and I had to learn this, like, how's this thing work? Show me. And here they just knew it intuitively. But anyway, please continue. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're absolutely right, because they are in their socializing and in some cases moaning and complaining, but and they're probably moaning and complaining because the degree that they went after is now outsourced to a different country or no longer exists. I mean, I know of a gentleman who recently lost his job, and he's some kind of a civil engineer or something like that. His job's been outsourced and eliminated because it's just not something that they're doing, utilizing anymore in the whatever world he was working in. And so his job chances are slim and none, and he's got 2 kids in college, and I'm trying to transition his mind into the e-commerce thinking, but he's still, like I said, you have to be open to understand how this can all work for us.
Right.
And because a lot of the degrees in fields have been outsourced, you're right. We're going to have to, college kids want that fancy degree. But maybe they should have gone to a trade school to learn how to fix the HVAC system, be the auto mechanic, the plumber, the electrician,
right,
the carpenter. All those skills are skills that those 3 million jobs are unfilled. And yeah, you got to get your knuckles dirty. You and I both know that, because both Kristie and I like to work on cars, believe it or not. We're pretty good at it too. But there's a lot of that skilled labor that is untapped. And you mentioned it earlier too, Kristie, is that, okay, say for instance, here in the Bay Area, unless you want to be building high rises in San Francisco, your welding skills may not, you can get paid very well for doing that if you don't mind being
right,
skyscraper high in the air. And you're going to get paid well. But if you're living in South Carolina and there's no real welding jobs, and you're only getting paid $40,000 a year, you got to be ready to move, like to North Dakota, where they're growing like leaps and bounds, or San Francisco, where
Yeah.
Google and the social media empires are being built right now. Their offices anyway. And so that's, you know, we have to be open to moving where the jobs are and looking what types of jobs you want to do. And if you don't want to have any of those jobs, let Kristie and I show you how to have a home-based business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, going back to the college too, and I think especially, I'm going to say over the last 10 years especially, maybe a bit farther back, there's been a big push to get kids to go to college. And I think that's a good thing. But kids were being pushed into college and really were not directed into the pathway that was going to get them a job when they came out. And I think it was absolutely the biggest fraud perpetrated on a generation coming out of college, because it was the millennials who graduated, the first generation of college graduates who did not have jobs waiting for them. And the reason why is that our colleges did a terrible job preparing them for jobs that were not there waiting for them. And it's like what you mentioned, that, you know, we did not have liberal arts jobs available. We do not have a demand for writers and things of that nature. I mean, anybody can almost, who has some writing skills, can become a blogger. And you do not need a 4-year college degree to become that. And you can do some wonderful things being a blogger, and you can go very far with that if you have integrity, you have character, and you have great sources and good writing skills and a little technical ability. Where the skills really are needed is, like what you said, was in the transferable skills. And you know, you and I have come from the real estate field, and way back when, it was always said, you know, that real estate was turning about every, I'm going to say 5 to 7 years. The statistics were that a family was moving, okay, and they might be transferred. They would be within 100 miles or even more from where they were living. Well, that transferability is even greater than it used to be. It might be in another state, it might be across the country, or in another country.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we have to, our children who are graduating from college or even from trade school now, trade school is absolutely an honorable way to go. Because, you know, us real estate people, if we can pick on them, we're going to be eliminated down the road at some point in time, or some portion of our profession, because a lot of it can be automated, and where our skill sets may actually need to be more niched and more defined is in the actual mitigating part of it, is when we're sitting down with the client and how to mitigate a contract and how to get through the inspection process and how does that relate to our contract, because there's always inspectors and things like that who's going to explain those portions to the client. But, you know, our portion of how does that relate to the contract and how do we get the client to navigate through that process. But, you know, people can go find their own home pretty well. We don't really need to show anybody how to walk through a house. Most people know how to walk through a house, and they know what a kitchen and a bathroom looks like. You know, remember in the old days, they would say, hey, here's the kitchen, here's the bathroom. It's like, are you kidding me? You know, but these are the ways that we used to be taught how to do things. But you know, it's just having that idea that transferability and mobility is important. And the day of growing up and maybe having, growing up in the neighborhoods you grew up in, and maybe having your family grow up in that neighborhood that you grew up in, having multi-generations, may not be available. But there is another way.
Right.
There is another way.
Right.
And it's with this great technology that we get to work with right now. And when you shared with that earlier, and you know, and I know you have some thoughts on that. You know?
Well, just to backtrack just a minute, because we were talking about the construction trades, for instance, and the HVAC guy, the the plumber, the electrical guy, etc. We in real estate would have liaisons with those people.
Right.
We would refer business to them.
Right.
And they would refer business back to us.
Yes.
Often.
Often. Yes.
And I'm going to segue a little bit because here's us baby boomers. We're in their 50s, 60s, and 70s and beyond a little bit. We're not afraid of hard work. And that's where all those auto mechanics, the electricians, the building inspectors, the plumbers, et cetera, they're all transitioning into retirement or hopefully retiring. So that's where the younger generation's got to fill some of those gaps, like you say, the 3 million jobs, if they're just open to them.
Right.
And what baby boomers are noticing is that, as you mentioned earlier, the cost of living has, groceries and gas and everything else has increased. And some of them, maybe they're thinking when 30 years ago, oh, I'm going to be bringing home a $5,000 a month retirement. I'm going to be living. It's going to be gravy. We can travel with it. Well, that's barely covering the nut nowadays, especially here in California.
Exactly.
So a lot of the skilled trades that need to be filled, the younger generation can glean some really good knowledge from the baby boomers who, before they retire, can teach them some of these skills that you can't learn in school. My husband's a building inspector. You can learn the books and all that stuff, but you can learn what to really, that's going to, what really strikes, you get what to look for. And the reason why, when the baby boomers, and I'm semi-retired because I'm working a home-based business. I left that commercial real estate rat race, I call it, about 2 years ago now, actually. But baby boomers are realizing that, their retirement and their Social Security, and it maybe costs more because they're maybe needing some more health issues, and maybe their travel, because of health issues, they can't travel, etc. They're looking into home businesses and how to market on e-commerce. They're looking for healthy alternatives that, instead of the prescriptions that the doctors are jamming down their throat with, I don't even take any prescriptions, so I don't even know what they're called. But, what is it when you have a reaction to a drug or something, and then you have to take another pill to counteract that, and, it just compounds itself. And then the next thing you know, you can't even get up off the couch because you're drugged out. Your body's going, what is this crap you're feeding?
Yep, been there, done that.
Baby boomers are embracing, let's face it, network marketing, because there's some very good companies out there that offer some of the best nutrition and products out there, and then they can learn how to network with people and share that and build a business. And if they really want to learn how to do it on social media marketing and e-commerce is changing the world. It's the future, but the future is now. And a lot of us who are young at heart really embrace this and realize that, okay, for instance, in the real estate industry, when you're door knocking, you can only door knock so many doors before you get tuckered out. And then you do it again and again and again. That's hard work. Whereas if you have a global economy, maybe your next seller or buyer is in a different country.
That's right.
And it's same with those of us that are embracing social media marketing and e-commerce, is that maybe my perfect customer is in the UK.
Right.
Maybe my perfect affiliate colleague is in Japan. You just never know.
Yeah. Look how many people we mentor online.
Yeah. Yeah. All over the world. I've got friends in I've actually got family there too, but in South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, UK, Canada,
sure,
and here in the United States. And that's just my family.
Yes.
So imagine what who they know and who you know. And if
Exactly.
you don't know anybody, you put that little step forward and say, okay, I'm going to learn how to use this little mouse and move it around the world.
Exactly. Indeed. Yeah. You know, and this whole thing about, you know, Mark Cuban had mentioned, I think you know who Mark Cuban, and he is a billionaire. He owns the Dallas Mavericks basketball team, and he's into the technology type of businesses. That's how he's made his fortunes.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also one of the stars on one of my favorite shows called Shark Tank. It's an entrepreneurial show on CNBC. But in any case, what he was talking about is that we're in a technological evolution right now. You and I had the good fortune of seeing the internet go from a private institution to a public one, you know, where it was released from the colleges and the military and brought online to the public. And we've seen it go from an infancy stage, and I'm going to call it, it's an adolescent now. And it's got its own attitude and all of that comes along with adolescence. But it's only going to get more and more, and we're seeing it with artificial intelligence, you know, where there's adaptive technology, to where we see it on Facebook, to where Facebook probably knows more about our interactions and the things that we're interested in than maybe that what we're aware of ourselves. And this is where technology is taking us. And what he had said is that there's not going to be thousands, there's going to be tens of millions of people that are going to have to accept the idea that they're going to need to make a job change. They're going to have to adapt to new skills. They're going to have to have transferable and movable skills, such as we need the welders, the auto mechanics, which are now called auto technicians. Everybody's a technician now. But, you know, moving into those areas, even, you know, doctors, those that are highly skilled and highly niched, you know, they can go ahead and see a patient across country via a robot. And the robot can go ahead and touch that patient, you know, put a stethoscope on them, and the doctor, you know, this side 3,000 miles away can listen to their heart and talk and interact with that patient. And that's how things are going to change. And so unless somebody is in a highly skilled profession like that, we are all at risk. And the benefit about the home-based business industry and entrepreneurship is we have the transferability and we have the movability, because we can be here and talk with somebody across the country.
Right.
We can travel. You and I are going to be traveling next month, and we can go ahead and continue to do our day-to-day business, and nobody else would know the difference, but we'll be doing it in another location. We'll be movable, and our skills are transferable. And you know, as baby boomers, I'm excited that we have kind of just adapted to the skills that are now required and are going to be we're actually part of that technological evolution. And I know that you have some closing thoughts on that as well.
Well, what you mentioned, what we talked about first was that $3 million jobs, right?
Right.
Are unfulfilled, but
right.
Movability. Maybe the person in a nice area of California, Florida, wherever, doesn't want to move to North Dakota.
Correct.
They're extreme weather patterns.
Yes.
Whereas us in our niche, our home business, I'm a home-based business owner. That's my tagline, HBBO. I can, when my business is built to the level that I really, it's growing well, but when it's got up there, I can move anywhere I want.
Right.
I don't have to go to where the welder needs to go in North Dakota and freeze during the winter time.
Yes.
That's a nice choice for one. And I was going to say something else, and I can't remember what it was.
I would call that a fibro moment, but you know.
I don't have that problem. But that was one of the perks of being a home-based business owner. And it's, yeah, there was something else. It's on the tip of my tongue. It'll come to me. We might have to do this again. But like I said, the future is here now. And like you said, it's in its adolescence. For instance, oh, here's what I was going to mention, is that, okay, I still do this, but sometimes I am busy writing stuff in a little hand calendar and keep that with me, all right? And then I have a computer behind me over here, and I have another one here. You know, I can type really fast, but this little gizmo here, you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes, with that.
Millions of dollars with a nice little smartphone. This smartphone is smarter than my newest computer.
That's true.
Which is 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like you said, we just have to learn it. But hey, there's people that, how does this work? How does that, and we have mentors, like you're my mentor for the high-tech stuff. You've got that down. And how do I do this, Kristie? Oh, you just do this. Oh, okay. You know, instead of having to go to Best Buy or someone ask them how to do it. And no, you work from home and you network with people that are, you know, they're like-minded people. We want to move on with our lives and have it our way, not the way an employee has to be to an employer. And what if that employer retires, or what if that employer decides, uh-oh, he's going belly up, and that's happened with a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
So you're at the whim of an employer if you're an employee.
Yeah.
If you're your own boss, your own entrepreneurial home-based business owner boss, it's up to you to make it or break it. And you know you're going to make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to, you know, because that's what you want. Just remember why you want it and keep pursuing it. Go for your dreams. Because living, what is it? I just started a new book today. And the first thing, and it's called How Do Rich People Think? And the very first thing he says in the very first chapter, middle class focuses on savings, which brings us back to, you know, investment in yourself. World class focuses on earnings, and they direct their mental energy toward accumulating wealth through serving people and solving problems.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
That's what it's all about. That's what you and I do.
We problem solve.
Yes.
And you know, we have always been problem solving too. You know, our businesses have evolved. We started off, you know, I know we had entrepreneurial beginnings before real estate, but we've always been in problem solving type of businesses.
Yes.
And we've just evolved, and we're solving the problems of the world right now, and it's a lot of fun, isn't it?
It sure is.
Yeah. Well, Margaret, it was great spending some time with you, and congratulations again with you on your rank advancement. I think that's absolutely phenomenal. Can you share with our guests how to get a hold of you? Because if you want some awesome coaching and some awesome direction with Margaret, she can definitely help you out. She may even, if you're looking for a proper fit, maybe in a business, she can give you an idea too. You know, she knows a lot of people, has a lot of connections. So all you need to do is just chat with her, and she might find something that's a good fit for you and make a referral. I mean, this is what this whole thing's about. So Margaret, why don't you tell our viewers how to get a hold of you?
Well, thanks, Kristie, very much. They can go to my fan page, Margaret Edwards, HBBO. That's my little tagline, home-based business owner. They can reach out there. They could reach out on via email. I don't want to give my cell phone number.
Yeah, no, why? That's old school.
Yeah, so, you know, you can definitely reach out to me on email, which is Dennis, DENNIS, Margaret, MARGARET, @gmail.com. That's Dennis and Margaret @gmail.com. And just, you know, mention today's or this, what are we going to call this topic? How about cost versus investment? And then I'll know it's from somebody who reaches from here. Okay, so put that in subject line.
You can just put her name in the search tab in Facebook and you'll find her too.
There you go. See, that's high technology.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, Margaret, it's always great chatting with you and brainstorming. I mean, we've got a great brain trust with each other, and it's always fun. So thanks for doing this. I really appreciate your time, and really proud of your rank advancement. That is so cool.
Thank you very much. High five. Woo.
Yes, ma'am. Okay there, lady. We'll see you next time.
Have a great day, everybody, and thank you so very much, Kristie.
You're welcome.
I love you dearly.
All right. You take care. We'll see you next time. Bye.